Good evening and Merry Christmas. I'm Sam Dick. It's been a year of tremendous ups and downs, from tornadoes ravaging parts of the state to the Wildcats winning the national championship. 2012 is a year we will all never forget. Tonight we take a look back at the images that shaped the year through the eyes of WKYT's photographers.
I've been here 28 years, and I don't know that our staff hasn't been stronger than it is right now from top to bottom. We've got some just really quality photographers or videographers and some quality editors, but almost more than just their skill level is they're just quality people.
There were power lines down everywhere. No one knew what was live.
Everything had some kind of damage to it.
I've never seen so much destruction over such a widespread area.
Years from now, people are going to be talking about that night.
The photographers of WKYT have over 150 years combined experience, bringing you the images of Central and Eastern Kentucky. We thought we had seen everything until March 2nd, 2012.
You knew something was on the horizon. Lightning lit up the pitch black sky as the wind whipped through the unusually quiet city. Then it happened.
We see electrical wires in the roadway. We see people's homes turned over on their side. We see people's homes ripped off their foundations.
Be careful though, you got a hot wire on this side and one on this side.
First on the scene and first to call 911.
You're gonna have to turn around, buddy. Yeah, it's bad. It's something I'll never forget simply because we called it in.
I mean, we heard it coming and we just grabbed everybody, our dogs, and we just got down and pulled the couch over us. And it was ripping apart all around us.
What looked like a bomb had gone off in the center of town. There was chaos everywhere. Nobody knew what to do.
There are just blocks and blocks where they are trying to remove rubble and save people.
All communication lines were down. Cell phones, emergency management signals, the CB radios weren't working, so nobody knew where to go and how to help people.
Like the door flew open and I just heard glass and things going everywhere.
I saw what looked like had been a home. I got out, I walked up to them, left the camera in the car, because first I wanted to make sure that everybody was okay. And I started talking to this woman, and she just started crying. She broke down right there in front of me. Started telling me that this is where her and her husband had lived for, most of their lives, and that they had just barely got into the basement.
We got to the basement, stepped out on the patio within seconds. We just barely made it into the cistern.
It's a tragedy, that's for sure. It sure is.
Hardly a single building or structure in West Liberty is untouched. Block after block of ravaged buildings.
You could just follow the whole path of the tornado. You could see it go through the mountainside, through the forest, all the trees laid over. Any little hamlet or small town that was out there got flattened, and then it came into bigger cities in that area, Salyersville and West Liberty. And I'm sure there was homes in there that weren't touched, but it looked from the air like everything had some kind of damage to it.
You almost couldn't even tell what to shoot first. So I always remember the first thing I saw were horses running in the background, wild.
Panicked horses looking frantically for their lost barn weren't the only ones who found themselves homeless. Neighbors struggled to pick up the pieces, just as they struggled to pull themselves together.
I was scared, I'll be honest with you. I don't scare easy, but that scared me bad.
I'm thinking, how in the world are they going to get these horses together, let alone get their own lives back together? So
it's just all gone.
This is what's left of Bobby Manning's mobile home. His father, Herman, sat in shock outside the ruins of his house.
It just happened so fast. Nothing you can do about it.
This was somebody's cat.
A number of cats found throughout the town are still here among the animals waiting to go home.
This animal clinic was taking care of every animal in town. not just animals that were lost and injured. People who had lost everything, they were looking after their animals just for the simple fact that they couldn't come out and take care of their animals.
They may not be able, you know, they may not have a home to take him to right now.
Twister the horse was picked up by the EF3 tornado and dropped into the family's kitchen after the roof blew off. Dr. Fugit says Twister will stay.
They're ours. They're our people, and it's our people's pets, so we've got to take care of them.
So Kentucky just lost to Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament. I need a new lucky hat. I was getting ready to go on the road with Kentucky, and so they gave me this, and I said that it was my new lucky hat. As far as Kentucky went, I'd wear it on every game day, and the rest is history. When we come back, covering a national championship behind the lens.
My colleague Brett Dawson, one of the print guys here in town, said when Anthony Davis signed with Kentucky that Kentucky fans would never see another player like him.
And that's what it came down to this afternoon, with the biggest play turned in by Anthony Davis.
Ant came out of nowhere. I didn't even see him. His arms are so long, but he definitely saved the game for us.
When Anthony Davis kind of decided that he was going to take over games, you knew that this team had a legitimate shot at making a run at a national championship.
You know, being from Lexington, you know how UK sports is and you know how the fans are.
Let the celebrations begin.
Love to beat Louisville. It's my favorite game of the year.
There's just so much excitement with that team. Like Jay-Z was there. Me and Brittany Paletz, we were just working the whole venue.
UK students decked out in their finest Kentucky gear.
Really gets your heart racing because sometimes you want to look over and be a fan, at the same time you have a job to do and you want to tell the best story possible about the game and the story of the fans as well.
You know, when he's 60 and I'm long gone, he'll be telling his grandkids about this one time that his dad took him to see the UK U of L game.
To see that there's a chance Kentucky could play Louisville in the Final Four, I mean, for Kentucky fans, that's just unfathomable.
Cats and Cards fans eating together. It could only happen at one of New Orleans' most famous eateries, Café Du Monde.
When both teams did their part and won their way to New Orleans, there were storylines everywhere about Kentucky and Louisville playing to get to that national championship game.
It's a laid-back rural community.
A town where people and rivers meet.
It's a small town.
Is now what Sports Illustrated is calling the center of the college hoops universe.
Finding out that there is a geographic center of the March Madness kind of puts us up there with New York and London and Paris.
But police say they've never been called to a place like this to break up a fight between fans.
U of L would beat UK, and he started running his mouth.
And told me, shut up.
You know, I'm sitting there hooked up to a machine, and I can't do anything.
And I went to him and I hit him.
Yvette Martin becomes a Wildcat fan.
I married a Kentucky boy.
She and husband James have 4 children.
Half the family was Louisville fans, and the other half, which had broken away, were UK fans.
How 3 of the 4 kids become Cardinals fans is the preposterous part here.
They even had a little dog there. They put in a blue uniform.
Good evening, live from the Big Easy in New Orleans, where thousands of UK fans are celebrating the chance to go for an 8th national championship. It'll happen.
I still think, in my mind, that the night that they won in the national semifinal game against Louisville, that was the craziest night of the 2.
State Street just exploded when the Cats won.
These kids really put on a party. They put on a show, let's put it that way.
Our cameras caught it all in the heart of student housing.
We rode along with the Lexington Fire Department that night.
Celebrations turned to riots. Watch as students.
I got out of the vehicle thinking, hey, I'm going to get some shots of this. All the students rushed this fire vehicle. I'm sitting here underneath the car shooting up at 2 students while I have one of the battalion chiefs trying to get the kids off the car. Remember a tweet being sent out by Kristen saying that we had had beer poured on us.
You know, Bart's a big, bald guy, and you pour beer on him, and that's not going to end well.
The guys in New Orleans that night, they got a big laugh out of that.
New Orleans knows how to throw a party.
When you're there, you really feel the energy. You see all these people having so much fun.
It's my first Final Four, my first trip to New Orleans.
And so it's my job that day to capture that and bring it to the viewer so you feel like you're there.
So me and Brandon Whitworth, we got to see the confetti fall, and then we sprinted back out to the satellite truck to do our live shots for the post-game coverage.
The storm of all storms starts pouring down. We're 20 feet on the scaffolding, a metal scaffolding. It's lightning, we're getting everything down.
Post-game coverage that was 2 live shot locations is now 1. And as soon as they told me that I wasn't running a live shot camera, I busted it back into the Superdome, and I got to shoot Kentucky cutting down the nets.
The basketball team came really close a couple times to winning it when I was in school, and you know, they didn't. So to be able to be there with all the students, with all the fans going crazy during the wins, it was really nice to be a part of.
When we come back, we honor our nation's true heroes behind the lens.
We were heading down Route Pluto's in Iraq, Sadr City.
En route, we got ambushed by Taliban.
Has there been any news one way or the other?
Nothing. That's why we're pushing right now.
In 2012, WKYT photographers Barton Bill and John Wilson won the Edward R. Murrow Award and Emmy for their work on military issues.
The American people need to know that the wounded soldiers go through hell.
As much as it means to us hearing that story about how they've sacrificed, I think it means just as much to the men and women of the United States Armed Services, because they get to tell their story to people that want to hear it.
My wife's grandfather, named Lee Roberts, passed away a couple of years ago, was a paratrooper in World War II. And he would always ask me, no matter how sick he was close to the end of his life, he would always ask me about going up in the sky first in the chopper.
For Joseph Milner, nearly 70 years have passed since he was captured in World War II.
It's one of those things where there's a huge responsibility on us to tell the stories of the generation that we're losing and of the generation of soldiers that we're losing too soon.
The road that led Dustin Gross to Montgomery County High School led him back here today.
It was a beautiful, sunshiny day, kind of brisk. Strangely enough, the breeze was blowing very briskly, and the flags were all at 90 degrees to the pole. So that really made all those hundreds of flags stand out. You just knew driving in that this was going to be a special day for this man that sacrificed his life for his country.
And for a soldier's mother, it's the final flag that represents Dustin.
We are here in a common cause, which is the American way.
All I remember out there is being very, very hot, and the people are trying to find their loved ones in a cemetery with thousands and thousands of fallen soldiers.
This was the first Memorial Day ceremony for James and Keisha Frazier of Nicholasville since their son's death.
This is where he wanted to be if something happened to him.
Once they found their loved ones, they stood there and just touched the headstone and didn't want to leave their loved one alone. In fact, this one lady, she just laid on the ground and started sobbing, and that was a moment I just had to capture.
I've said every time I come out here, if I could just crawl in there with him, I would. I could stay out here all day, every day. It wouldn't bother me.
He's a man of honor and trust, but last night, someone took advantage of Jay Warden's kind heart.
I so hate that happened, but...
The 87-year-old World War II vet should be in Washington, D.C. today.
He was still just high in spirits. He was still just a fun person, a genuinely nice person.
He's home on his porch in Winchester after missing that honor flight to the nation's capital this morning.
I firmly believe she came up here that night just to rob me.
This guy it is who he is. He's just an awesome person, and he's not holding any grudges towards the person that stole his wallet.
I am so appreciative. People that contact me and say, Jay, we are going to get you to Washington.
And they did. The decorated World War II veteran boarded his honor flight this morning.
And how he fought for his country, and just to hear like the stories about his wife. I mean, it was just awesome to show this person on TV, to get people to know who he is.
How these guys worked together. I mean, it sounds cliche, but you had a kid in there that we followed around, Nathan Hardy. No offense, he looks like he's 15. Baby face, glasses. He's been training for 2 years for this.
It just feels good being able to go over and be part of something.
Really neat to see the older generation, helping this kid. And it's more than just, pick this up and take it to here. It's really, mentally, how do you prepare for this?
Like Specialist Jesse Henline.
It's in my blood. And once you become part of a bigger family, you can't leave it.
Am I going to spend my life on the ground for the real estate agent? No, man.
After the break, some of the best characters and unforgettable moments from the past year.
We like being in the middle of things when it's happening, but we don't necessarily want to be noticed ourselves. I think sometimes we get our best stuff when nobody knows we're there, nobody knows we're shooting, and it's more real.
This is a nice street, and he is nothing more than an eyesore.
He is Stephen Price.
We run across a lot of interesting characters in this business.
No foreign policy in Iraq, Iran, Venezuela.
Most of the time, they don't want to talk on television.
What is that offensive?
No, it smells like dirt.
You know what it used to be?
What?
Septic waste from the house. Septic waste.
Stephen Price didn't walk away, and he's an unbelievable character.
Where the whole town will be practicing horticulture the way it was in 1950.
Everything about the job is just a challenge and an unknown and an adventure.
V-O-T-E, vote, vote, vote.
Here are these kids, not old enough to vote, but encouraging adults to go out and exercise their right to vote.
We are never too young to be engaged in your community. You're never too young, you're never too old, you're never too poor or too rich.
It was very inspirational to be out there. Cold day, they could have been at home, but they chose to go out and encourage people to vote on their day off.
We're not really trying to get people in trouble. We're not trying to intrude on anybody's space. We're just trying to report news and let everybody know what happened in their neighborhood or what possibly happened to somebody that they might know.
Gabriel, what is the very latest?
Sometimes we get a little too close.
Yeah, so I want to show you a little bit of a difference that we have a little bit earlier.
So I have video of the guys going in there, busting out a window, throwing in a cell phone into the home, trying to get that line of communication.
After the shots were fired initially, they did get a little bit of contact with him.
I hear this faint sound, like a pop. The next thing I know, we have 3 or 4 police officers rushing towards us to get back.
They are concerned. They are asking us to move this way past this van. We're going to comply with what the police are asking us to do for our own safety here.
Get out of the way. You got to get this camera out of here.
Have been hearing for the last several minutes that shots have been fired.
About 5 minutes later, here comes Major Fred Deaton from Frankfort Police. He's telling us, hey guys, you guys were just shot at during a live shot.
What people don't realize is when we show up, I know this, that it's probably the worst time of their life.
I think why me, I'm starting to feel like Joe, but then I think there's other people going through much worse than me.
A lot of times, I may not like what I have to do, but I still have to do the job. So you have to have compassion. You have to listen to people, relate to them.
Elliot Porter didn't arrive at his first state tournament on Dreams alone.
It's amazing to see him succeed. You know, you see him put all his work and heart into this and then finally accomplish one of the goals that he set for himself. Come on, Elliot, you can do this.
One of the coolest things about what we do here is when we get to cover someone who is exceptional.
Come on, Bubs. Come on, Bubs.
There's no way they should be able to accomplish a feat.
You see the 280-pounder standing across the mat has 2 good arms. Elliot has only 1.
It's even better if in the middle of that story, there's a great surprise.
Elliot has not only overcome adversity, but he's also excelled in it.
There you go, there you go.
Entering the state tournament with a 48-4 record.
He's overcome a lot of adversity to be where he's at.
If anyone knows,
there you go.
Coach Lanham knows.
32 seconds. Don't get caught.
Keep going. Jump in. Go.
I thought my whole life was over. I thought my whole wrestling career was over because, you know, I just couldn't do the things that I'd done before. And these boys have taught me a lot. So you know, they taught me more than I've ever taught them.
Check us out on Facebook, WKYT Photos. There's a lot of cool stuff there.